local cops are correct, and it sure sounds as if they are, this is the unlikely face of a child killer. 28-year-old Melissa Chantel Huckabee, a Sunday school teacher who on closer inspection was also an obviously troubled ex-con, facing sentencing for her second shoplifting, this time a felony. But a mother nevertheless, a pastor's granddaughter, and a neighbor of the happy-go-lucky little 8-year-old who skipped to oblivion and was, according to cops, already dead by the time her parents reported her missing 2 weeks ago. Hello, everybody. I'm Geraldo, and we're also closely monitoring that troubling pirate hostage standoff off the coast of Somalia. But up front tonight, the shocking story of the short life and terrible death of 8-year-old Sandra Cantu.
Nothing we have done and nothing we can say will ever return Sandra to her family and to the community. But last night, we arrested Melissa Huckabee, a 28-year-old Sunday school teacher.
Although most often described as a Sunday school teacher, 28-year-old Melissa Huckabee appears to be a deeply troubled woman, with at least 2 prior convictions on her record for burglary. One locally late last year for which she was awaiting sentencing. The other back in 2006 in Los Angeles. And aside from her own statements, there is considerable evidence against the woman, whose grandfather, Clifford Lane Lawless, is pastor at the local church, which has been searched several times and is now described as a crime scene. Item: Huckabee previously admitted that little Sandra visited her home to play with her own 5-year-old on March 27th, the day Sandra went missing. Sandra was turned away by Huckabee, she says, because her child had chores to do, and that this haunting video of the innocent victim skipping to her death shows Sandra on her way back to Huckabee's home.
I can't stop thinking about how she could have died or what they could have done for her or how she felt. It's just so wrong.
Item: the suitcase in which the poor 8-year-old was discovered, submerged in a filthy dairy lagoon 2 miles away, belongs to Huckabee, who claimed it was stolen at the same day and time Sandra went missing.
That was my suitcase. It was stolen out in front of my house. The police department and they believe military report. So it was over $200.
But local cops say no police report was ever filed, and that the story of the suitcase being stolen is a lie.
We had no police report that a suitcase was stolen.
Late Friday, after the suitcase was found in Sandra's watery grave, Huckabee claimed to have suddenly remembered that she had found a note in her driveway that had the words water, suitcase, and Whitehall. The reporter from the local Tracy newspaper claims that Huckabee made no mention of a note in their interview 4 days before.
The fact that a lot of the statements that she made yesterday, I believe, to the Tracy press were inconsistent with statements that she had made to us in the initial canvass. There are no other suspects in this case. I couldn't begin to even theorize what her motive is.
Melissa Huckabee was arrested for the murder of 8-year-old Sandra Cantu late Friday, about 5 hours after she drove herself to the local police station to be interviewed for a second time.
So despicable to kill this little girl. I mean, that's crazy. It's insane. It's ridiculous. Absurd. It's gross. Grotesque.
To be living amongst a killer is just hard.
Okay, back live, Sergeant Tony Sheneman of the Tracy Police Department joins us from the trailer park where both the victim and alleged perpetrator lived. Standing alongside Sergeant Sheneman is ace reporter Jennifer Wadsworth of the Tracy Press. It was Jennifer's interview with Melissa Huckabee that exposed contradictions that later helped Sergeant Sheneman's department make its surprising arrest. But Sergeant Sheneman, welcome both. Good work, Sergeant, and you, and Jennifer, you as well. But Sergeant, first of all, your response, your reaction when it became clear in your mind and the mind of your detectives that it was indeed this neighbor who committed this awful crime.
There's no doubt in the detectives' minds last evening at the conclusion of the interview that Sandra was killed by Melissa Huckabee.
What was your reaction, Sarge, when you got that news, when they told you that and you first heard that it was this woman who committed this awful crime?
I was shocked that, number one, it was a woman, and number two, that it was a member of our community, and probably most shocked that It was a neighbor and a friend of Sandra's parents.
Can you share with us, Sergeant, whether you believe this was an intentional act? Was it because it is so rare that a woman, a mother, kills under these circumstances? Do you surmise that she lost her temper, that this was an accident, that Sandra came back to the house and she was told not to come back, and this woman under such pressure because she's got this this plea coming up on this this robbery at the local store there, that she snapped, that she did something spontaneously, or do you believe this was a premeditated homicide?
Personally, I can't believe anyone would lose control over something like that to the degree that they would kill a child. Professionally, I can't comment because we do have statements from her that my comments would compromise the investigation and the trial.
Do you have a confession, Sergeant?
I can't comment on that, I'm sorry.
Do you have a motive?
We were unable to develop a motive through interviewing her, and we've been unable to determine why she would do something like this.
Jennifer, your reporting helped this investigation. The contradiction, the statements she made about the stolen suitcase, the fact that she never mentioned a note. Later in the week, she had a note that said suitcase and all this writing on it. Tell us, did you have a eureka moment where you realized that this woman was absolutely lying to you and to the authorities?
Well, it was a huge red flag for me when I asked her about her criminal record and which listed her address, her phone number, her middle name, and I asked her if this was her, and she denied it. She flatly denied it, and that was a huge red flag for me. So that was suspicious right there, but I didn't know anything about anything outside of what she told me in that interview.
Jennifer, because you are not constrained the way the sergeant is, do you believe you know what the motive was in this perplexing tragedy?
I wouldn't be able to say. All I know is that she's under close watch by county mental health. She's on a 3-year probation, so she obviously has a history of mental health problems. She was interviewed by county mental health psychiatrists twice before she pleaded no contest for her burglary charge in January. So it could have been irrational. It could have been that there was no motive. I can't speculate, though.
Again, excellent reporting. Sergeant, if you two would just stand by. We're joined now by Candace DeLong, the former FBI profiler, by Bernard Carrick, the former New York Police Commissioner, and by Montel Williams, the radio, the new Air America host, television host, former naval officer. We'll be talking with Commander Williams later about the situation in Somalia. But Candace, this is so rare to have a woman with this profile commit a crime of this heinous nature. Your comments? Do you believe that they have nailed this case?
Well, I don't believe they would have made an arrest had they not the probable cause to believe that they could do so. Yes, it is very rare. Unless less than 5% of the time a child is abducted and murdered, it turns out to be a woman. So it sounds to me like they probably have it locked down.
I agree. I agree with that. But Commish, usually when a woman's involved, she has an accomplice. They say that there will be no further arrest, that this is it. It was this woman and this woman alone.
But in that case, you know, I listened to the sergeant. You know, I don't think they have a clear motive at this point, which would lead me to believe that it was something irrational, that she possibly snapped. She already, we know she has a, you know, a mental history background. I would say it's going to be something in that range, unless it's something else they come up with.
Montel, do you remember the day, not so long ago, where an 8-year-old child could skip innocently and safely from house to house in a neighborhood?
It's absolutely incredible that in this case, I think when this child first went up missing, they labeled her as a missing person. Now, 10 years ago, we could do that. 5 years ago, we can do that. I think that right now, even the smallest communities across America have to start understanding a child goes missing, you're running out of time. From the second that child goes missing, whether it be an Amber Alert or let's go up on the local radio, let's go up on the local television station and say, we're missing a child. Guys, everybody's seen her immediately. And in this case, I'm not knocking, because, I mean, I'm telling you, the community, I think, tried to do everything they could. They didn't want to use the Amber Alert because they didn't have information about which direction the child may have gone in. But we're going to have to figure out something just shy of Amber Alert Another one, child alert. Let's find that child. And it's an abomination that we can't walk freely on American streets.
And abomination is exactly right. Sergeant Sheneman, is it not a fact that you believe that Sandra Cantu was dead before her mother, the last seen after 4, mother reports are missing around 8-ish, that she was already dead by 8-ish?
The information that we have through the interview leads us to believe that, yes.
That she was already gone?
Yes.
We'll have more on the Melissa Huckabee arrest. Her